So today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. Now, my name is Greg Brightville, and hopefully you know me. If you don't, my name is Greg. I use he, his, them, or they, them, their pronouns, and I work in the Division of Student Affairs at the University of Maryland, Baltimore. Now, LinkedIn has been around for quite some time. I think the other day somebody commented that it's been around for, I believe, almost 20 years. So it's not something new, but it's really evolved in a way that I believe it is the future of professional correspondence. I believe, in my opinion, and truthfully, that in 10 to 15 years, we're not going to be submitting resumes to jobs. We're actually going to be just submitting our LinkedIn, or they're going to view our LinkedIn. Because LinkedIn is your professional identity on the internet. Now, social media is something most of us have. And research into social media show that employers do Google candidates. We look at candidates through, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And that's why it's even more important that you have a LinkedIn and that it's up to date so that you can put that forward. That is your professional social media, so that they're looking at that rather than pictures of your vacation on your Instagram or your Facebook. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn. But I'm going to actually give you some tips and tricks about some features of LinkedIn that you may not be using already so that you can take your LinkedIn profile to the next level. Now, hopefully, as you're listening to this, I want you to pull up your LinkedIn profile, and I want you just to listen to me and watch this and just kind of scroll through your profile as you're listening. And I want you to start thinking about what your profile says about you. So what does it say? What would somebody looking from the outside, looking in, think about you through your profile? And more than just what it says, think about how it says it. And what I mean by that is, yes, of course, you probably will have jobs on it, but what if you don't have your most recent job? Or if your profile is not completed, it's halfway done. What does that say about you? What would somebody assume based on that information? So that is why it is so important that you think about your LinkedIn profile and you really take ownership of it. Because when somebody is looking at you, whether you even know it or not, that they see a professional that you want them to see. So here's some data, here's some truth. Research into this whole phenomenon of employers has found that actually the majority of employers, 70%, use social media to screen candidates. And even still, once you're hired, almost half of employers admit to using social media to check up on current employees, to find out information about them, to see what they're doing. 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn to find candidates. In fact, if you're in certain fields, recruiters will contact you through LinkedIn saying, hey, I got an opportunity for you. I saw your profile. I wanted to talk to you about something. Now, 57% of employers admit to not hiring candidates because of something they found on social media. Now, this is more than just what they find on your LinkedIn, but possibly Facebook, Instagram. And that's why it's important to start thinking about your online presence and why having a nice LinkedIn, kind of like that low-hanging fruit that employers can grab real easily, is important so that they go to your LinkedIn rather than to scroll through your Instagram feed. But here's the other issue. Historically, some people were like, well, you know what, Greg, you've talked about social media, Facebook and Instagram. I'm just going to get rid of all of those. I'm just going to have no social media. Well, here's the problem is in today's world, social media and the internet is a double-edged blade because almost half employers will actually not even contact you for an interview if they cannot find you online. So that's why I don't approve of a scorched earth policy where you say, no, I'm going to be gone. Nothing on the internet is going to be available about me. And instead, I suggest Well, before you go that far, keep the LinkedIn, because you don't want them to not assume that you are a real person. And I remember when I was, back when I was single, I'm married now, but when I was single and I would be set up for a blind date or a date in general, the first thing that I would do if I didn't know the person was go online to see their social media, because that's how we confirm that a person is who they are. And the same goes professionally. Employers want to look up your social media. They want to see a LinkedIn, because through your LinkedIn, they're going to see and compare it possibly against who they assume you to be. So they're going to see that you are a professional. They're going to learn a little bit more about your employment history. They may also start comparing the resume or CV that you submitted and that employment history to your LinkedIn. Do we see any discrepancies? So now, hopefully you have your LinkedIn profile up. And what I also want you to do is to pull out a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to do the following. Write down the key things you want your profile to say. So I want you to write down just a quick list. What are your skills? What are you really good at? Something that sets you apart from other people. What are you passionate about? What does that say about you? What do you want people to know about your passions? What are your goals? What are your goals professionally and possibly personally? How does that set you apart from other people? How can you help people visualize where you're going? Okay? Now, based on those three things, what I want you to do is to start thinking about creating a personal mission statement or a professional bio. Now, the reason this is important is because in your LinkedIn, you're going to have a spot to put information about yourself. So now I opened up just because I think it's important to kind of show you all what I'm talking about as I explain it. And so on LinkedIn, you actually can have your profile. So your about section. So what does this say about you? Now I keep mine pretty short, and I wrote in this pretty much about myself. What are my goals? What am I passionate about? Because I want people to read this and to understand me for who I am professionally. Now, I would also suggest, as you're writing your personal mission statement or your professional bio, sometimes I see on LinkedIn bios that are like, a few hundred words. Just be aware that at a certain point, if you have too many words, your LinkedIn it's going to say click to see more or click to read more. You really don't want to be caught behind that, because you want to be easy to see, easy to understand without having to click. So keep it short and simple. If you want to have more, make sure that the starting of it is the most important. You want it to be like the front page of a book. When you open up a book and you read the about of a book and it catches you immediately, and that pulls you in so that you want to read more. That's what you want your personal mission statement or your professional bio on your LinkedIn to do. Now, pull back out your paper, and you don't have to do this right now, but I want you to write down these things. I want you, when you get a chance, to lurk around LinkedIn. Look at other people's profiles. Write down, what do you like? What do you appreciate about other people's profiles? What features are they using on their profiles? Things that you may not have. How do they organize it? You can actually organize. There's a way you can actually edit. So you can edit your content. Go to my LinkedIn. You can adjust these, what order they show up. And then who are their connections? So who are other people connected to professionally? And based on these 4 questions, you're going to start understanding, okay, what do I want my LinkedIn to do for me? How do I want it to do it? Now, there's actually several people that I admire on LinkedIn. one person I'll just shout her name because I often say that she is actually a person that I admire on LinkedIn, how she uses it. Dr. Isabel Rambob, who is a professor in the University of Maryland, Baltimore School of Dentistry. And I love the fact, and I saw in hers how she was using it, how she would post once a week, possibly, how she organized it. And I use that as an example of how I build my own. So definitely do that same thing. Go on to LinkedIn, find organizational leaders, or I hate using the word influencer, but there are influencers on LinkedIn. They're usually people like Dan Price, who are professionals but really share a lot on social media or on LinkedIn. See how they do theirs. See how they organize theirs. Remember, this is social media. And you have to view it and use it that way. Because on your LinkedIn, you want to post so that you can stay relevant, so that you show up, so that people view you as a thought leader. You want it to have documents that say a lot about you. So when people scroll through your profile, they see the professional, again, that you want them to see. So for example, and I'll use my own, I view LinkedIn very much as something that is essential to my career. And so when people scroll through, they can see information about me, where I work, about me, I'm a servant leader with extensive experience in higher education, LGBTQ plus issues, and public policy. I'm an ally, and I firmly believe that advocacy, learning, and personal growth cannot occur in a vacuum. To be a change agent, you have to do something, and that's my mission statement. Articles that I've written and published on LinkedIn, these are some older ones. Activity that I've done, okay? My professional experience, where places I've worked, things that I do. I'm also a consultant on my own. I'm a business owner. And then education, so I list my education, what I have. And then volunteer experience. I also have badges that I've earned and that I've put on my LinkedIn. So digital badges, honors awards that I've gotten, organizations that I'm a part of, even recommendations. I also have more activity. So this is what people see. And when they log in, they actually see a little bit more than that. They also see my featured section. So I have my CV on that. I also have information. I was on Fox News, Fox 5 local news recently, and they interviewed me about something. I only pulled 5 seconds of it, but I posted that. I also wrote commentaries for the Baltimore Sun, so I put those. So this is, I'm organizing my LinkedIn to show me as the professional I am. That way when people look, that they see something that they like. And in many ways, I knew how to build my LinkedIn based on what I saw other people do. People that I viewed as thought leaders. So an easy way, let's say you don't even have a LinkedIn. I showed you LinkedIn and you're like, oh my gosh, Greg, you know, I really have been meaning to create one. It's actually very simple to start. You actually can go on and create an account for free. You can even click the profile builder section. And so it's really easy. So go on, claim a custom URL. That's another big thing. So like, for example, on my LinkedIn, I'm Gregory Brightville. So this is my custom URL. Oh, click too fast. So this is just for me. So I can put this on my, I want to have a custom URL because I put this on the top of my CV. It's easy to remember. You can also edit your custom profile URL. So you actually click up here to edit it. And so that's where if you sign up and you don't like who your custom URL is, let's say it like, maybe for mine, it's like Greg B or Gregory A Brightville, I would adjust it to what I wanted professionally. And then as you go through the career builder section, it's going to just tell you, oh, do this, upload your resume or CV. Oh, it'll pull the information off of your resume or CV and say, oh, does your information look right? It'll actually populate some of these things. And then you're going to go back through and update to make sure it looks right. Now, things to think about. So profile pictures and background photos. Again, this is social media. Now, before I talk about pictures, realize that unfortunately, you know, having a picture is Similarly, it's a double-edged blade. When I submit a resume, they don't know much about me. They don't know my race. They don't know my gender. They don't know my age. All of those things can probably be alluded to based on my picture. And so realize that putting your picture on your LinkedIn, while it is kind of the norm, just be aware of it. Know that it is a double-edged blade. So when you think about your pictures, that doesn't mean you have to put a photo of yourself. But think of how does that picture represent you professionally? And so if you don't want to put a picture, possibly a custom logo. I saw somebody recently that instead of having a picture, they had like their full name and it was printed in a beautiful way, but it was easy to read on the profile picture. That's fine. If you do want to use a picture, try to use a headshot and make sure that in your headshot is your face 60%. 60% of the picture. So try to keep your face the focal point. I try to say not to do a profile where you're too far back, or like on some of the other social medias, like if you have a significant other. While I love that, it's wonderful. You don't want to have two people in the picture because they may not know who they're talking to, they're trying to figure out that it's you. So if you're going to have a picture of your face, it should be just your face, a professional headshot, and make sure that it's close enough that they can see you. And then, of course, if you cannot put a headshot, if you do not feel comfortable, if you don't want to, that's perfectly cool. Just use a custom image. Don't just leave it empty. Because if you just leave it empty, people may make the assumption that you just didn't finish your LinkedIn. So make sure that you put something in this little circle right here. And then you're also going to have the background image. Oh, and then I forgot to mention, if you do put a picture right here, it's a picture of your face, keep it up to date, within the last 3 to 4 years. Now, your background, this is a great opportunity for you to say and to share your brand. So think about something that represents you for who you are. I wouldn't say, like on Facebook, like I put a picture of like a vacation. Now, I could put a picture of a vacation if I want to, but I view that as a missed opportunity for you to brand. And so if you work at a company that you're really passionate about, have a picture of the company or one of the buildings. I am very big on LGBT allyship, and so that's why I put be an ally. And then remember, if you put something up, change it. You got to keep your profile fresh. Now, a headline. So let's talk about a headline and a summary. So we talked earlier about your mission statement. Now that would go in your summary section. Okay, so that would go, let me show you my profile, in your about section, your summary. Now, a headline is like a tagline. This is shown alongside your name. So right there. So when you're thinking about it, often it's best if you make your headline more than just your job title, because hopefully you're a professional that's more than just your current job. Now you can, of course, include your title. So I'm an Associate Director of Student Leadership and Involvement at the University of Maryland, Baltimore. And so I put Associate Director, but I also want more than that because professionally, I have more than just one title. And also sometimes having my title doesn't really say much about me. And so I put more information in it, things that I'm passionate about: DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, educator, and LGBTQ+ advocate. Now, things to avoid is buzzwords. Now, the reason I say to avoid buzzwords is because just like in resumes, putting buzzwords doesn't really help you in your profile. It doesn't help you in your resume. If you say like organized leader, first off, putting leader on your profile makes you a dime a dozen. What are you a leader of? Are you a leader of public policy? Are you a leader of healthcare services? Ooh, that tells me so much more about you. Think of things that are important to you. Your LinkedIn, you're selling your professional brand. So take the time to really make it a spectacular brand. Now, The summary, as we talked about, is down. You're going to see it lower. You want to have, it used to be located. You can adjust it. I have mine a little lower, but you can have it at the top of your profile. This is where you're going to put that detailed description of you and your professional identity. So a personal mission statement is always fantastic. If you do not have a personal mission statement yet, then that is actually what I want you to do immediately. A personal mission statement is absolutely fantastic for you professionally, because that's that when somebody tells you, hey, tell me about yourself. Who are you professionally? You should have your personal mission statement ready to go, just right there sitting on your head, almost memorized completely. I talk about this when I talk to students about public speaking, but I also mention, personal mission statement. If you're doing like that brief elevator speech, have it ready. Keep it concise and keep it professional, and have your bio be concise and professional. You can also include a short story or anecdote, but remember, you really only see so much in the summary section, the about section, that you don't want it to be something too long. You want it to be short enough that the first stuff that they see is the most important, because you don't want them to have to click read more to be able to get the full story of you. You can have more in it, but you want the first few sentences, the first 3-4 lines to be the best part. Now, the other thing that you're going to think about is using the skills assessment. So LinkedIn offers a really fantastic tool called a skills assessment. This allows you to demonstrate skill in certain areas. You can also get verified skills badges. The new hot thing on LinkedIn is the digital badging. Digital badging became a conversation everywhere, but LinkedIn is the one. If you would ask who has done it well, LinkedIn, you can actually get badges based on things that you know. You can add them in, and that adds almost those micro credentials, what they're called, a micro credential to your educational experience to show those soft skills or those really niche skills. So if you have, for example, often in resumes I see experience using Microsoft Word and Excel. Okay, sure, fine. But if you have a badge that says like Outlook expert or Microsoft Office certified expert, ooh, that's different. Now I have something that's quantifiable. It's not just you saying, I use Microsoft Office every day. No, it's, yeah, but I know because you passed this little micro credential. So these are really fantastic tools. It also allows you to focus on things, endorsements. So on your profile, you can actually get endorsed. So you can take the skills quiz. And this says the things that you're good at. And then people can endorse you to say you are good at those things. Now, this is an area that I want to build up on my LinkedIn, because I see people that have like certain things and it's like 30 likes almost. And this is other professionals who are endorsing you, saying that, yeah, you know what, Greg is really good at higher education, or Greg is really good at teaching. And I was endorsed by Randy Rump, who was actually Dr. Rump, was a professor, teacher actually that I had in high school. And he's viewed based on his skills as really good at teaching. So the fact that he verified me is even more powerful. So this is a really great way to just beef up your LinkedIn. So that way, when they see it, it verifies the things that you're good at. These are like little references, professional likes. Next, you're going to think about your connections, your network, okay? So in this, you can view your network, my network. Now, don't have too many connections, of course, but try to build up your connections. And I would say, if you're going to build up your network, start by, writing down and just going on and looking up people that are close colleagues or professional friends. Now, LinkedIn is not something that you're going to use like Facebook, where you're going to be like, oh, my friend so-and-so that I met at a party one time, I'm going to add them on LinkedIn. No, not really that. You want like colleagues, close colleagues, or professional friends that you've worked with in the past. Because of this, you're building connections, and other people can see who those connections are. And so you want to make sure that your connections are meaningful. Next, you want to look at aspirational connections. So The great thing about LinkedIn is that you can connect with anyone. So why not connect with some organizational leaders, people that are high up in your organization? It's LinkedIn. This is what it's for. It's professional networking. So I have, for example, university leaders here at UMB. I've got President Dr. Gerald, CFO Dr. Don Rhodes, Provost Dr. Roger Ward. I added them because here's the cool thing. I want them to see that I'm doing amazing things. I already mentioned that research shows that almost half of employers are looking at fellow employees, and they're actually looking. So here's people that, are above me in the chain of command, and I want them to see that I'm doing some great things. Next, think of colleagues, potential colleagues, people who share similar roles or in a similar field. The reason this is fantastic is because if you are in a field where you may need to reach out to somebody for help on something or ideas, why not connect with them? I have added many people from across the state and the country who do similar jobs to me, and I've actually reached out to them sometimes to be like, hey, I see we're in the same position at different institutions. What are you doing for this? When I was writing policies, often I'll contact them. And then even think about relational connections. So individuals who share your educational background, people that you understand, you maybe thought similarly minded in how you think and approach things. So when you build this network, you want to view it as something that you're proactive with. Because let's say, for example, somebody's looking up your LinkedIn, you want them to see, for example, that you're connected to people who you work with. And then possibly if they know that connection too, that's called an off-the-cuff resume, off the resume reference. And so they may contact that person to say, what do you know about this person? And if you've done this right, then they may say either, oh yes, I've worked with them, they're great, or I've never worked with them before, but I really appreciate some of the things that they're doing and the things that they're sharing. Now, some other tips. We talked about this also. Have your relevant skills. Remember, take the quiz. It's a skill quiz. Endorsements. Now, endorsement is like a reference, and it's actually very, very easy to do. So if you go to your profile, references are the social media side. So where you scroll through, see what other people are doing, people that you're connected with. I'll show you this in a second. Go to my profile, to profile. So scrolling, you can actually ask for recommendations. You can give recommendations. If you click on this, you can ask for a recommendation. This is really great because you can actually it'll send an automated message to somebody. I would always follow it up though with a real message like, hey, you may have gotten this automated message. I'd really love if you gave me an endorsement. We worked together on a project or we worked together as colleagues. And I really value your feedback of me professionally. I hope you give me a positive reference. This is awesome. So I could search for people. Let's say I want to search. I'm never going to ask this person for a reference because he's my husband. But let's say I can blow up his profile and not worry. So like I click this. And then you can select how you know the person. And then you can also say which position it was for, where you were at. And so you can have, this is the automated. Now I would recommend write a custom one because this sometimes looks like it looks automated. I would also say touch base with that person, email them or message them privately and something else to say, hey, you got this. Could you check it out? Because not everybody uses LinkedIn every day. Okay, and then you would send. And then they would submit a reference for you and you double check it, discard, and it would pop up. So this is a really great way to get those references that then you don't have to say references available upon request. This is right here forever and ever. And so you can give them and you can receive them. Now, I would say if you're going to ask for a reference to somebody, be polite and give them a reference back. Ask them if they would like you to. Okay. So before we go further, let me go back and show you a little bit more about the home page for LinkedIn. So now on the home page, zoom in. So this is where you log in. This is where you see kind of like your profile for behind the scenes. And this is like the social media side of it. And so on this, you can see where you post photos, videos, events. You can write articles. If you're trying to learn how to get published, if you're in the academic sector, if you want to become a better writer, this is a really great way that you can publish articles on LinkedIn. And it's just a really great practice. So if you're not quite there to get, for example, a peer-reviewed article, or you just have like an idea or a thought, write an article about it. Why not? You can also see LinkedIn news. Up here, you can see your network. This is a great way if you wanted to add people. You can see if you have pending, but you can also see people you may know. It usually sorts them by where they work. So I see people here at the University of Maryland, Baltimore. It also pulls people from Frostburg State, which is one of my alma maters, other people that have similar roles, and other people in DC, Baltimore area. So this is a really great way. Just scroll through, see if you know anyone, or even if you don't know somebody, see if there's somebody that you want to connect with professionally. You can, of course, look for jobs on LinkedIn. It's a really great tool. It does pull job postings from websites, so they're not always perfect. Like, for example, anytime UMB posts a job, for some reason, always thinks that it's UMBC. So just know that is not perfect. Don't apply through LinkedIn. Use LinkedIn to find out about the job and then go to the employer's website to apply. You can also go through messages. I get messages sometimes on this. Sometimes it's spam, like this is spam. And then you can look at notifications where you see if people have liked things that you've done. And so here, Dr. Heather Hurst reacted to a post that I put a few weeks ago about being on the news. Okay. Now, also on this, you can see who has viewed your profile. So in the past, I think week, 90 days, 75 people have viewed my profile. You can adjust your profile viewing settings, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But this is something really important to know about. The way to know it is if you can adjust yours so that people see that you looked at theirs, which means then you can see that people looked at yours. If you're in private viewing, then they don't see that you looked at their profile, but they can see, and then you can't see that they looked at your profile. So like, you can't see either way. Views of your post. So if you do post on LinkedIn, it'll say how many views of it, how many individual people have seen it. So I can see how many views of each of my posts. This is a really great tool if you're trying to see interest. You want to be a thought leader. This new one got really quite a bit of posts. You can even look detail like where people are, which is really helpful if you're professionally trying to figure out where's your reach. For example, like 82 people in the New York City metropolitan area viewed this because it shows up on their feed. They don't even know me on LinkedIn, but it just shows up based on the algorithms. That's kind of cool. I don't know who they are. They read it. Okay. Now, some pro tips for LinkedIn. Make this small again. So first off, remember it's social media. Comment on things, like things, because that automatically pulls you in the conversation. If there's something that is related to your field and it's a large discussion, let's say a thought leader, which is somebody that I don't like calling it's like a thought leader, like the LinkedIn version of an influencer. They're thought leaders. So if a thought leader posts something, comment on it. Comment on other people's posts. Add your 2 cents in, because this is you professionally. You're adding your professional opinion. Why not? Also, update regularly or after professional life change. If you have a professional life change, let's say, for example, you start a business or you get a promotion or your title changes, make sure that you update your LinkedIn. You don't want it to be a time where it says something on LinkedIn, but your resume says something different, because somebody's going to say, ooh, are they lying? So always make sure that your professional information on LinkedIn is up to date. Also share relevant content on your profile. If, let's say, you're a student and you make the dean's list and they post the list of students that make the dean's list, share that. If, let's say, there's a news article related to not even something that you did, but something about your organization, share that. That's your brand. You're connected with that organization. Also, think about publishing articles on LinkedIn or sharing publications. If you author a paper, share it on LinkedIn because it'll hold it so that people can read it. When the Baltimore Sun picks up one of my op-eds, I then share that on LinkedIn. It's only happened twice, but I put it on LinkedIn because I want people to know. Follow relevant influencers, thought leaders, industry people. Connect and network with people. That's always important. And then track your profile views, likes, and comments. And the final thing is, and I mentioned this and I told you I'd come back to it, is adjust your visibility settings. This is a sneaky, sneaky trick that's really helpful. Okay, now, on other social medias, if you look at somebody's profile, it's not going to tell them that you look. There's no expectation of it saying that, hey, Greg looked at your profile. But on LinkedIn, it can. It kind of does. So when I go, let's say I'm looking at somebody's profile, let's say Dr. Jenny Owens. I view her as a thought leader as well. She's a wonderful colleague. And I'm looking at her profile right now. She'll get notified possibly that, hey, somebody looks at your profile. Now, in your setting, you can adjust how your lurking is, if your lurking is visible. I don't know how to say it better. So under your privacy, you can update your profile. Now, this is a great way to update things, but on privacy, you can change this. Let's find it. Profile viewing, visibility. So what this means is, here we go. So I can set it up 3 ways. One, when I look at somebody's profile, I can set it up so that they know who looked. Greg Brightbill. Okay. I can also set it up where it's just, says a little bit about you, your field. This one pulls me as my business. So it says, but this was what it tells them. Or it can be anonymous. Now, if you are either the private profile characteristics of either the business owner where it doesn't say your name or anonymous, that means that they don't know who viewed their profile beyond either the summary or an anonymous person did. That also means that you can't see who looked at your profile. So you may want to use this. Just know, though, if you do put your name, then people see that you looked at their profile. They know exactly who it is. But you also see exactly who looked at yours if they also have it. Now, this is a really great tool for many things. I turn this on sometimes when I want somebody to know that I'm looking. Somebody that I am not connected with, maybe a thought leader, maybe somebody that's in the industry. I want them to know. This is also a really great tool if you're applying to jobs. So let's say you're applying to a job, and naturally, if you're applying to a job, you want to know a little bit about the people who are interviewing you. Yeah, I think so. You want your research. So why not put this on so they know, ooh, that candidate, Greg Brightbill, I saw him looking at my LinkedIn. He's clearly interested in the company. But then also, if they click on my LinkedIn, I see that they looked at me. So if I'm applying to jobs and all of a sudden my viewership goes up, people that look at my LinkedIn, that's probably a fantastic sign that I'm doing a great job in my resume or my CV. I may not have anybody contact me back for an interview, but people are nibbling, the fish are biting. Now, if you have the regular subscription, the free, you can only see so many. So let's go back to my profile and let's say, keep this on. I'm going to click here to view my profile viewing. Okay, my computer's slow. So it tells me a little bit about it. Again, tells me like where people are, organization. So if I'm applying for a job and all of a sudden see a bunch of people from certain areas, certain company, then that's usually a good sign. It's like, ooh, somebody at that place that I applied looked at my profile. Tells you a little bit about them. Now, if you want to know, and this is something that I'm not marketing and trying to get you to pay into LinkedIn Premium, and we'll talk about the subscription differences in a bit. But if you are applying for jobs and you're really on the job hunt, for the cost that it's going to cost you, sometimes it's kind of worth it to get the premium, because then you can see exactly who else, like sometimes it'll like throw you a bone and be like, this person looked at you, and you can see who looked at you in the free. But if you have the premium, you can see the whole list. Also, if you've never had premium before, it's free for a month. So why not free? And then like when I used to use it, they also do this funny thing where like when you act like you're going to cancel your subscription, and then they email you like, hey, hold on though, we'll give you like another month or two for free. Got to play the system. So I had like LinkedIn for free for like 3 months because they kept like being like, oh, don't go. We'll give you something. So just possibility. Got to work the system to get some good stuff out of it. Okay, some other things. As I mentioned, the free versus paid. Good thing I kind of segued into it. Now, a free profile gives you most of the things on LinkedIn. It really gives you almost everything, you know, that most people would need. So you can, of course, have unlimited messages. However, the messaging can be wonky if you're not connected with a person. You can search for as many profiles as you want. You can actually use the recommendations and the references. You can have pretty much a perfect profile. But there are, as I mentioned, really some fantastic benefits of the premium subscription. And I'm not trying to sell you on it. It's like $30 a month, $26 a month if you pay for something. It costs money, but it's not super expensive. But if you're on the job hunt and you're really trying to work the job hunt, this is a cost, but it is something that will help you. So it allows you that advanced profile views tracking. It also allows you to do some special things. You know, if you're doing business or sales profile management, if you're doing your own business, it's really great. It also allows you to use LinkedIn Learning, which is a super amazing free tool. I use LinkedIn Learning quite a bit. If you are, let's say, trying to build up your education and you want it to be affordable. Now, LinkedIn Learning gives you digital certificates and badges, and they have thousands. I mean, I pulled this from their website, 16,000 plus expert-led courses. They're actually fantastic courses. You can get badges and certificates, and you can have complete quizzes to show that you do know something, and you can also view the courses anytime. So if you're looking to add to your profile, add to your education, and you're not ready to go to school, let's say you're a graduate, and a new tool is coming out, a new software, and you want to show not only that you know it, but that you can quantify that you know it. This is a really great tool. Now, LinkedIn Learning has so many different things you can learn, everything from social media to Adobe to Microsoft Word to some more specific things related to certain career fields. This is a really great tool. So check it out. Might try it out for a month for free. They do know that they ask for your credit card information, so if you don't delete your membership, then they bill you. So there you go. So this is a really, really fantastic tool that I would recommend also thinking about. Now, I wanted to give you all some time to ask me some questions. Again, my name is Greg Brightville. You can email me at gbrightville@umaryland.edu. And feel free, if you want, add me on LinkedIn at Gregory Brightville. You can find me right there. Feel free to connect with me. Feel free to scroll through my profile if you want to learn about how I utilize it. I'm pretty darn good at it, but I wouldn't say that I'm the best. Feel free to find other people that are thought leaders and see how they do it as well. But if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. And I hope that you are, as we speak, clicking through your LinkedIn and looking for ways to improve it. And I hope that works for you, and I hope it gets you some interesting opportunities. Thank you. Questions while I turn off the recording.